Just because somebody calls themselves a politician or who is someone who belongs to one of these global elite organizations, health organizations, World Health Organization, all that type of stuff, Center for Disease Control. And I'm talking about health because that's what we're discussing. That's just what's on everybody's mind right now. Just because somebody calls themselves a member of the healthcare establishment, or just because a politician says that he is listening to the science or listening to the professionals, doesn't mean that these so-called professionals are right. It doesn't mean they're right. No, I'm telling you, even with healthcare, it is very important to have an inquiring mind. In fact, it's even more so. The more people who have an inquiring mind about healthcare, the more we can advance. My grandfather always said 2 heads are better than one, and it's so true. When you've just got one group of people who are the only ones we're allowed to listen to, and the media and the politicians and all these other people are just telling us we better listen to them. There's no hope. Don't listen to anyone else. Anyone else is just talking conspiracy. We need to lock them up. We need to put them in the psycho ward. We need to do all this. Don't listen to Arana Nation when he says that you need to go outside and get fresh air to build up your immune system. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to Arana Nation when he says, a lot of these vaccines will weaken your immune system. They have the ability to I'm not saying that, that vaccines make autism and all that. I don't know that. I don't have any proof of that. I'm just saying that vaccines, because this is what people say, even Fauci says that vaccines, with all the mercury, with all the high intake of, just like any other drug, will make your body immune to it. And it's any drug. These chemical drugs, not these. I'm not talking about natural supplements and stuff. I'm talking about these big pharma drugs that they make you immune. I want anybody who is on an antidepressant or who's on an ADHD pill, just automatically just stop taking it. Just stop taking it. Just stop taking your antidepressant. Just stop taking your Cipralex. Stop taking your Doxepin. Stop taking your Seroquel. Stop taking Depakote. Stop taking Invega. Stop taking all of it. Just stop taking it right now. Stop taking it and don't take it for about 3 weeks. And I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying don't stop taking it. I'm just telling you, stop taking and see how you're going to feel. See how your body is going to feel. See what even like your eyes, when you move your eyes, how that makes your brain shock up. And I mean, it is vicious. It is dangerous. Once you are on these drugs, just like vaccines, and the vaccine has higher cases of these chemicals. Once you put that in your body, you become immune. It's like if you don't take it, first of all, your immune system weakens. So then you get sick easier. Then you have to take more vaccines and more vaccines and more vaccines. Pretty soon, it's like every year, you got people who have to take flu shots every year. Otherwise, they get sick violently. Their immune system is shot. It is shot. It's just like somebody who takes stool softeners to go to the bathroom. Those things are dangerous. Stool softeners, anyway, I knew someone who couldn't go to the bathroom if they didn't take stool softeners. I mean, that's how these things are. So you have to be, these things, that's what it is. So, but these people say, don't listen to them. Don't listen to him. You all need to stay inside and quarantine until Bill Gates comes out with a vaccine which will make him rich and which will give him a lifetime supply of customers, because they will all be immune to, they will be dependent on the vaccine. That's all. Don't talk about hydroxychloroquine, and I'm not even saying that's perfect either. Don't talk about zinc. Don't talk about vitamin C, vitamin D. I mean, those have become cuss words now. You go on CNN and you try talking about people needing vitamin C and you see what they'll do to you. They'll probably advocate you being locked up. All because of these so-called professionals. They're not always right. They're not always right. In fact, there are many cases in history where the so-called medical professionals, the so-called medical establishment, the so-called the scientists, they've been wrong. And I'll give you one good example of that. See all this hand washing we're doing? All this hand sanitizer, all this hand washing, wash this, wash that. And in fact, actually I'm hearing people even talk against that now. If someone says, oh, wash your hands, stay healthy, you are less likely to get coronavirus. You say that on CNN, they'll destroy you. The mantra is stay inside, don't even come out, don't even look out the window, don't do anything. Just stay inside and keep your dirty, stinking mouth shut until Bill Gates comes out with a vaccine. That's the mantra. Don't talk about fresh air, don't talk about vitamin C, don't talk about none of it. That's the mantra. But all this hand washing we're doing, did you know that the guy who came up with the notion that hand washing was good for germ killing, a man by the name of Ignaz Semmelweis, German guy or Austrian guy, Austro Hungarian, whatever he's from. He's the one who came up with it. Did you know that the medical professionals and the so-called experts, they came down on that brother for saying that? They came down on him. Actually, I think they even put him in prison for that. I think he was either prison or the psycho ward. They put Ignaz in. Hand washing, what we all know of, Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, her fleece was white as snow. Mary, all that stuff, singing a song when you hand wash. Mary had, all that we do, all that we teach our kids, all that everybody is telling us to do. That was looked down upon by the establishment, the medical establishment. So much so that they put him in a psycho ward. Let me read a little bit about this guy. So Ignaz Semmelweis was a Hungarian physician and scientist now known as an early pioneer of antiseptic procedures. Described as the savior of mothers, Semmelweis discovered that the incidence of a fever, also known as childbed fever, could be drastically cut by the use of hand disinfectant. Fever was common in mid-19th century hospitals and often fatal. Semmelweis proposed the practice of washing hands with chlorinated lime solutions, which is now soap. Soap is basically a scientific word for soap. In 1847, while working in Vienna's General Hospital, first obstetrical clinic, where doctors' wards had 3 times the mortality of midwives' wards. Despite various publications of results where hand washing reduced mortality to below 1%, Semmelweis's observations conflicted with the established scientific and medical opinions of the time, and his ideas were rejected by the medical community. Semmelweis could offer no acceptable scientific explanation for his findings, and some doctors were offended at the suggestion that they should wash their hands and mocked him for it. In 1865, the increasingly outspoken Semmelweis supposedly suffered a nervous breakdown and was committed to an asylum by his colleague. I don't think he suffered any nervous breakdown. I think they put him there because he was a disruptor to the establishment, the medical establishment, and they made up some junk about him going off or having a nervous breakdown. They put him in an asylum so they could shut him up. and discredit him even more. He died a mere 14 days later at the age of 47 after being beaten by the guards from a gangrenous wound on his right hand, which may have been caused by the beating. Semmelweis's practice earned widespread acceptance only years after his death, when Louis Pasteur confirmed the germ theory and Joseph Lister, acting on the French microbiologist's research, practiced and operated using hygienic methods with great success. So the guy couldn't even explain why hand washing worked. He just said it works. Just like a lot of people can't, I can explain it very easily, but a lot of people can't explain why it is wrong to be quarantined in your house. We need the fresh air. The heat will destroy the virus doesn't do well in heat. But we shouldn't be inside. In fact, being inside with a whole bunch of people breathing in the same air is actually not good for you. Being quarantined is not good for your immune system. You need the fresh air. You need to go out on walks. Live your life, all this sort of stuff. Just like people can't explain, coronavirus kills less than 1% of the population. So, really, the flu kills way more people. This whole quarantining thing is nonsense. Just like people can't explain that vaccines cause a lot of damage to the immune system. And people can explain those things better than he could explain that hand washing was good for you. So the reason for me speaking about this is to let you guys, and many of you guys who are on this fear bandwagon, this coronavirus fear bandwagon, that just because a politician quotes the so-called experts doesn't make him right. Just because the so-called experts say that we have to be quarantined and locked up in our houses so we don't get corona doesn't mean it's correct. In fact, if anything, when it comes to your medical safety and your care and your well-being, you need to be even more inquiring about it. You need to question more, because this is your health. And sometimes things will happen that you don't understand, and you need to discuss it and talk about it and maybe suggest some things instead of just listening to one group of people who are saying something that may not be right. And another thing, these people have been wrong about this virus so far. They said that we don't have to close the travel between China. That the virus doesn't know any borders, and now China is closed. They said businesses that remain open are going to see drastic mortality rates in their workers. And we've got many essential businesses that are open. Notice how they're all big businesses. Small businesses have to stay closed, but Walmart can stay open. Walmart, which keeps its customers waiting outside in the rain, they can stay open. But the small business, he has to be closed or we'll arrest him. There was this woman down in Texas who had a barber shop. She opened it. She couldn't feed her family. The benefit she was getting was not sufficient. She couldn't feed her family. And this judge, the black guy, Democrat, this is the thing I don't like about black folk in the United States. The thing about it is that a lot of them just kowtow to the Democrats. They love the Democrat plantation. They love the deep state plantation. It's such a shameful thing. It's so shameful. And then they'll go around talking about how I am not black enough because I didn't support Obama. Yet these guys, this black judge in Texas is saying, you are a disgrace. You need to obey your government officials and politicians. You need to obey. How dare you disobey the government? This fool here, this fool judge in Texas who's trying to lock this woman up for feeding her family. I wish I could have been in that courtroom. I'd have spit in his face. Spit in his Uncle Tom tacky-headed face. Talk about you need to obey. Speaking about obeying, and I'm looking at, I'm in Canada, but I'm looking at America, and it's the same in Canada too. Well, not really the same in Canada, because politicians on the left and the right are more or less, the left, they're just like the left in the United States, if not even worse. And the right in Canada, they are just a bunch of cowards. I mean, Doug Ford has become a coward. Doug Ford, I'm losing respect for. He is telling people off. He is going off against people who want to reopen the economy. This virus kills less than 1% of the population. Japan is open for business. Sweden is open for business. All these countries are open for business, and their populations are just fine. He's cursing them out, calling them yahoos. He's being nastier with, and most of these people probably supported him too. He's being nastier with the freedom fighters than he is with people even on the left. And so Doug Ford has become so weak and sniveling. He's talking about, oh, if you are protesting for your freedom. I mean, I call it protesting for your freedom. If you want to reopen the economy, you must hate this country and I'll help you pack. Doug Ford is pissing me off. He is pissing me off, Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario. You are pissing me off. Pissing me off. But so the right they're a bunch of cowards. But let's talk about America. Speaking about obedience, and I'm an independent. I'm not a Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, socialist. I don't like any of them. I'm an independent. I could support a liberal. I could support a socialist. I could support anybody as long as they are populist, as long as they are nationalist. And populism and nationalism is on the left and the right. And as long as they, are people who will help people become economically independent. And usually that's conservatives. But anyway, look at America. Look at the southern states, which are more conservative. It looks like the red states are the free states right now, and the blue states are the slave states. And remember the Civil War. The southern states, they were the slave states. And places like New York, Pennsylvania, New England, those were the free states. That's where you would go if you wanted freedom. You didn't stay in the dirty, stinking, subhuman, cotton-picking slave states of the South, Mississippi, Georgia, those disgusting states back in the Civil War, those Confederate subhumans. Those are the slave states. Now they're the free states. New York and Connecticut, New Jersey, those are the slave states now. I mean, it's the red state, it's the southern states, it's the southern former slave states which are reopening their economies, which are trying to accommodate their people. They're taking the virus seriously. They still are. They still have a lot of regulations, but they are trying to do it while keep giving the people as much freedom as they think is appropriate. They're trying, at least they're trying. I mean, it's almost like the blue states or the former northern states or the free states, they have no qualms about being locked down forever. I mean, look at the Michigan governor, that woman. Can't remember her name, Whitmer. Look at her. It's almost like she has no care about reopening Michigan. She doesn't give a damn. She's enjoying this. I mean, she does this under the guise of keeping people safe. I think it's more than that. Because I think the left, they love when the people are down. They love when they're chastised. They love when they're in their place. It's the left that's always wanting to take away our guns. It's the left which is always trying to give us more government and more welfare and make us more dependent. And they fetishize people who are poor and down and out and who rely on them because they're the ones that will give them more. They fetishize about that. That's why, I call, liberals who are white liberal racists, because they fetishize on black folk who are poor, down and out. Every election they'll go to their neighborhood, dance in their church, all this stuff, because they fetishize. They don't care about black folk. They love to see them in their place. So it's that fetish, that control freak fetish that they have, that the Michigan governor, I call her a Madam Whitmer, Madam BDSM Governor Whitmer, who loves to see her people in their place. And it's this Republican, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, I'm an independent, but right now I'm seeing the conservative governors who are trying to free their people, they see the facts, they see the data, they're trying to free their people, and the blue states and the former free states of the North, and all these, they're shutting them down. California, New York, Michigan, they haven't even said a word about reopening their economies. Not a word. What a great place. What a great time to go to Mississippi, huh? What a great time to go to Georgia. Go down to Georgia. What a great time to go to North Dakota or South Carolina or Louisiana. I mean, those states, or North Carolina. Tennessee. I used to live down there. I mean, what a great time to go down. Virginia's a lot. Virginia, I don't consider that southern no more. Virginia's a north. Virginia's gone. Virginia is nothing no more. But, what a great time to go there. That's where the freedom is. That's where the freedom is. In the former Confederacy. With the slaves and the cotton picking and the subhuman rednecks. That's where the freedom is now. Not New York. Not New Jersey. Not Michigan. Not California. Those are the slave states now. So it's reversed. It's all reversed. The free states are the southern states and red states in general, because not all northern states are necessarily blue. And the slave states are the liberal states. And they call themselves liberals, which means free. It's the conservatives, they're the liberals. Donald Trump, he's the liberal. Governor of North Carolina, he's the liberal. Georgia governor is they're the liberal. Stop calling these people liberal. There's nothing liberal about them. They're a bunch of globalist, control freak, establishment obeying, evil individuals. As for the medical establishment, well, just because they say something doesn't mean they're right. Just because the Catholic Church used to say that the sun revolved around the earth and would burn people who said otherwise doesn't mean that they are correct. And this is the Arana Nation.